Open up day one. Let me bring on Carlos Torres.
You got it, Mike. Thank you very much. And again, everybody, really glad to be here and sharing my experiences with everybody. So, so when we started this effort, you gotta, if you can advance to the next slide, Laura. So we talked about the storm school and we talked about the anatomy of the storm. But like Tom said, we were working on this for a while. We wanted to change this to the next slide. It's the anatomy of a crisis, right? Because it's not always a storm. It could be any event. It could be an earthquake, a monsoon, whatever's impacting your system, a business continuity situation where you have to evacuate a building and you need to maintain operations. All those kind of crises. It's just second nature to us to call it a storm. So, but it really is a crisis. If you go to the next slide, Laura, please. So when you think of a crisis, it brings me to this word cloud, and it really kind of covers everything about emergency preparedness and emergency management. So what I want you to do is I want you to focus on some of the key words in this word cloud. And I'm going to start with safety, because safety should always be the most prevalent thing that we always think about in any event, be it an emergency or a normal day. Then think about risk, emergency, crisis, prepare, respond, recovery, communications, plan, resilience. All these, there's so many types of risk that we have to deal with. And it could be, like Mike talked about, a natural event or a man-made event. But it's how you address these risks, right? Or a crisis or whatever emergency. And you go through actions like planning, operations, and communications. But most importantly, like I said before, we have to focus on safety and protecting the environment. One of the key words that I didn't see in this word cloud, 3 words: mitigate, lessons learned, and after action. And these are also critical parts of preparedness, which I'll be covering in upcoming slides. You can move to the next slide, Laura. So many of you may be familiar with the crisis emergency preparedness cycle. This is, I guess this is our life, right? What we work on. And you got to focus on the 4 phases of the emergency preparedness cycle. And as you'll see, it's a continuous cycle, right? So we're going to start with the prepare phase. And those are all those preparatory steps or actions that you use to prepare for a crisis or an emergency. Every emergency is going to be different, but the key about preparing is you prepare the best way you can, and the continuous action of learning and responding and recovering from these events. Then you go into the mitigation, where you go through the learning process and reviewing, and then going back into the prepare to make whatever modifications to the plans that you have to address those kind of emergencies. Then you go through the respond event. That's your muscle memory. That's how you respond. You normally don't go back to your plans. You kind of live off those plans, and you have guides and checklists that you were going to go. And we're going to talk about checklists as we go through this workshop. And then recovery is really about getting back, either your community, your organization, or your system back to normal operations. And then you finish off with that mitigate phase, right? Where you're going to sit down, kind of talk about what happened, what you did well, what you need to do better the next time. And then you put an action plan and you address those actions in a way where you give assignments to folks and you track those assignments until their completion. And that, again, takes you right back into the prepare phase, and the cycle continues on. Because again, we're in a community of continuous improvement, continuous learning. If you go to the next slide, Laura. So as we developed this workshop, we decided as a team to have 2 approaches. And today's session is going to be focused on the strategic approach. And really, it's about what's important and why. And then Thursday, we're going to go into the tactical approaches.